Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Known Classics. This is episode number 3003. Doubleshot number 2997. Yep, this one we're discussing She-Hulk trade and another frontline trade. We have Secret Invasion She-Hulk. Excuse me, I believe this is the... I think this is the 7th volume for the series. Yeah. This book contains X Factor issues. Well, this is X Factor Volume 3 issues. '33, 34 plus She-Hulk Volume 2 issues 31, 33. So, skipping over the X Factor issues and the first two issues of She-Hulk, because I discussed this already when I discussed the Secret Invasion X Factor trade. So, we're going straight to do we're going straight to issue 32 and 33 of She-Hulk. Mostly put for these issues, it's basically She-Hulk still fighting the Skrulls, and of course her friend Jazia, where she is fighting off another Skrull trying to kill her. This is immortality, and basically them on the run from the Skrulls. Of course, She-Hulk's throwing a freaking tree at a Skrull spaceship, and yeah, and of course, basically at one point you have She-Hulk basically butt naked. Yeah, it goes to be a little funny because we have David Lowe Seymour, and this is where and we have She-Hulk putting her pants on, and of course fighting more Skrulls, and eventually this leads to the last issue of 33 here, called Fathers and Daughters. It is most of She-Hulk fighting another Skrull. I think she's fighting a Super Skrull, and then we see kind of in a way how Jazia, where she's got basically her immortality, how she officially received, where she cannot die, being declared a traitor to their own people. At one point, you have She-Hulk with this invisible purse because basically it's a Super Skrull, and of course there's also a shark here fighting a tiger, who was another Skrull. Really good stuff here, and then eventually, does this particular person take it away? Well. Yeah, and then of course basically left on just Skrull just leaving there. That's it. Not a lot going on in those last two issues per se, but I'm gonna give it roughly a 8 out of 10. Next up is a quite interesting one here. We have Secret Invasion Frontline, written by Brian Reed. Unlike the Civil War Frontline mini limited series, this one has one story but has interconnected characters in it. This is written by Brian Reed, who I think was still writing Miss Marvel at this point in time. So this is basically focused on Ben Urich and a woman named Madeline. Them, from their perspective, the events of Secret Invasion. Like we have Ben Urich interviewing people basically like normal, like basically gun violence stuff, which is all about Frontline, basically after. And then not long after this, basically we have when Maddie's visiting her father, who apparently is working in Avengers Tower, and like she points her father out that we talked about this. Like she's like, we did not talk. She claimed parents just said we're getting divorced and nothing else, nothing. Like. Go in the office. Eventually, we also have another subplot here of a taxi driver being yelled at by his boss for damage to the taxi cab. This one, like he did tell him that it was caused during a fight with Spider-Man, but his boss doesn't buy it. So apparently, just try to chew out 25% of his pay to cover that particular damage to the car, despite the fact it was not his fault. And then after all this stuff happening, then the Skrulls show up. we see everybody's like, oh my gosh, a freaking spaceship has popped up in the middle of Manhattan. Yes. And we have scrolls all over the place. We have Ben Urich in the field. One of the coolest moments of this whole entire thing is him witnessing the public debut of Nick Fury's Secret Warriors, led by the awesome Daisy Johnson, in her original look in this book, the one that is based upon Angelina Jolie look from Hackers, before they changed because of the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. We see Thor fighting Skrulls. We see Miss Mara flying by. It's basically similar to how it was with Marvels. It's like Brian Lee took that premise of Marvels, having normal people witnessing superhero feats, and here it's a very similar idea. Except the biggest character we have in this whole book is Ben Urich. All these other characters in the book are completely original. And at one point in the book, we actually have people where all the evasion is happening. So we have people on the street just going to the Avengers Tower, while the Avengers are fighting down in the Savage Land and in Central Park. All this is happening. People are trying to loot during an invasion by frickin' Skrulls. Though the guy causing the looting, he actually doesn't get arrested. And Ben Urich gets his glasses broken, does get a new pair of glasses in the book. Robin Robinson shows up in the final issue of this book. And this book is only 5 issues, and this book is just so good. Not a bad issue in this whole series. The weird thing is the artwork. Yes, the artwork is done by CG Studios. It's kind of bizarre, but it's late 2000s artwork. So I'm not going to be mad at it, per se. But it's by far just a really damn good book. Like, you can tell basically, if you read the main book, you can tell exactly where each book basically takes place. It's only 5 issues. Just check the trade out. It's amazing. Give it roughly a 9 out of 10. I would say a lot more happening in this book than in the last 2 issues of She-Hulk, because I've already reviewed the other issues there. Yep. So, what's replacing this one? Because the website doesn't have season body. I'm going to go ahead and do, when he gets hands on the trade there, Secret Invasion and Thor, which I've not covered that one yet. Secret Invasion is a quite cool of a cross. I remember what was happening. This happened like 4 years into, basically. I remember receiving like a card. It had a checklist of every single tie-in. And this was kind of like, you could say it's overbloated crossover. It was the first one of this magnitude since Civil War 1. Now, they kind of did the same thing with Dark Reign, which that was also bloated too in Siege. And then after Siege, they finally calmed down with this overbloatness of like all these Chekhov tie-ins. I mean, next to anything like this is probably maybe Fear itself, but Fear itself was bloated. They did the same for AVX, and after AVX, there wasn't anything this bloated until would have this overabundance of tie-ins. I think next major one Marvel Comics had was maybe Infinity, but you actually follow that one really well with that one. It wasn't like over-the-top tie-ins. In most books, a handful of books, it wasn't like overblown. So the only events that actually had a ton of tie-ins was Civil War 1, Secret Invasion, not Siege. Siege was not overblown. They basically calmed down with that one. Fear itself, AVX, which had pretty much all the Avenger books and all the X books tied into this thing, except X Factor. I know Fear itself, let's see, was Civil 1, Secret Invasion, Fear itself, AVX. I would say probably the next one probably was Secret Wars with bloated tie-ins. I know people like the whole bloated tie-ins thing, but at least this tie-in basically didn't contradict basically half the main book. But that's a book in a nutshell. Yep. So yeah, to get a good view, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. So next up, another episode of I'm an evil Lord of Intergalactic Empire. Okay, next video. Bye.